What is up, Legionnaires? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mark, and today we're going to take a look at what next year has to offer for its first week of new comics hitting shelves. Are we going to go big or are we going to go home? You're going to have to stick around to find out. Let's get into it. Shout out to the homies over at Big Time Collectibles. Check out their website, follow them on social media. You can find them on Whatnot. Fantastic online retailer. And if you need anything cleaned or pressed, hit up my boy Justin over on Instagram. You can find his link in the description below. Let him know you found him via the channel. And as always, a huge shout out to my LCS, the Augusta Book Exchange. Be sure to check them out if you're ever in the Augusta area. If you're looking for a good group to get into comic conversations or tabletop gaming, they have an amazing Facebook group. The link is also down below. So we got 48 hours left of 2023. It's been a phenomenal year for comic books. So many great stories out there, but it's time to pause for the calls and take a look ahead and see how we're going to be kicking off 2024. Now, the past few weeks have been massive with the number of releases. DC, Marvel, the independents, they did not give us a break during the holiday season. They just kept pumping out good books. So what is it going to look like going into 2024? All these books are going to be releasing on January 2nd for your DC titles, and then January 3rd for everything else. So here's my top 10 picks for this coming week's new comic book day, and it kicks off with none other than Batman issue 141. This is supposed to be the finale to the Mind Bomb story arc. The whole thing is Batman has this other consciousness hidden deep inside himself. He put a fail-safe consciousness. If things ever go bad, this personality that is without Bruce Wayne is the purest form of Batman, just pure vengeance and violence, and it's called Zur-En-Arrh. That's what you see on the cover over there with the yellow and the red. That personality has completely taken over Batman, pushing Bruce Wayne far back into his mind where he's battling for his place in his own mind so he doesn't get lost. But outside in the real world, Zur-En-Arrh has taken the fight directly to the Joker. The Joker actually kind of fished for this personality to come out, wanting to kind of go face to face with it, wanting that pure Batman. And amidst all of this, it looks like we're kind of circling right back around to where this all started with Chip Zdarsky's run. Looks like Zur-En-Arrh has now downloaded or uploaded his personality into the fail-safe robot, which is a robot contingency plan that Batman has for when he would ever be down and out, it would take over. But it's been a fun story. It's kind of just a fast-paced, flashy. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Next up, we have one that I'm extremely excited about. This is Mark Waid and Dan Moore bringing us a dynamic, true to character, true to form, going back to where he came from type story with Shazam. This has been great. We're on issue 7. Much like a lot of the other DC titles hitting that 7th issue, we're hitting a new story arc. The first 6 issue kind of just was play setting. And in this case, it was kind of restoring what should have been. If you're a Captain Marvel fan like I am, you haven't really enjoyed every aspect of the character in the last few years, more than few years, really. The whole he doesn't have a name, the childlike mind when he's in the form of the superhero, all of that has been corrected, reverted back to kind of how things were before the New 52 era, which I think is a great move on this part. Now we're getting into the big stuff here. Right out the bat, on the cover, it's all right there. Shazam versus Black Adam. Dude, the artwork has got me hooked on this one. Like, this is just drawn in such a way that kind of calls back to the Golden Age while it looks new and fresh. Dan Moore's art is just meant to be right where it is with these superheroes at DC Comics. It is absolutely phenomenal. Not saying he shouldn't do some Marvel stuff. I would love to see how he kind of tackles some of those, but over in Shazam, we now have Billy, who's not sharing his powers with his siblings. They've given him an actual name. For legal purposes, they cannot call him Captain Marvel, but he's called the Captain, which is great. And in the finale to the first story arc, we saw why he acts like a child when he should have the wisdom of Solomon. And Solomon gave the rest of his power that he had been holding back to the Captain. Now he's kind of restored. Mark Waid famously has written Captain Marvel and stories like Kingdom Come with Alex Ross. And now with him, it's kind of the perfect fit. Dynamic, fast-paced, really fun. They have this quirky aspect to the episodic angle of comic books with this to kind of separate him from other titles. But it worked. It worked so well. And I'm very, very excited to be getting Black Adam over here, being that his run that they did with Christopher Priest is over with. I'm excited to see what this wild child is about to get up to. Next up, and this is probably one of the Beast World tours that actually hits my list. If you don't know, Titans has an event going on right now called Beast World, where Gar turned into a Starro to fight another Starro. Lost his mind, invading the world with a bunch of spores, and instead of the Starro spores just taking over people's bodies because they come from Garb, aka Beast Boy, just turning them into animal creatures. It's actually really good. The premise is wild, but it's ridiculously good. They're doing a series of one-shots where we're just kind of checking in on different cities across the DCU. This one, Atlantis, I'll be picking up for the PC and not just digital reading. I love me some Atlantis stuff. Excited to see what's going on with not just Aquaman and Mira, but as well as Jackson Hyde and Aqualad. They're promising to give us the truest form of Black Manta we've ever seen. So I'm guessing that Black Manta will be turning into an animal in this one. And stay tuned till later in the video. There's more on that. And next up, we have coming in at number 4, Love Everlasting is returning with issue number 11. This has been a wild ride right here. We focus on our main character, June, and almost kind of, again, like an episodic kind of way where in each issue we kind of get a period piece of a classic love story that gets hit with a twist where this cowboy character is out to take her life. Now, in the second volume, we're supposed to be diving into this cowboy character, getting some of his backstory and finding out more to the mystery of why that is the case. Tom King's been writing this. Absolutely wild. It gives me Westworld vibes. It gives me crazy, crazy Westworld vibes. Like there's so much more that's happening, and they only give it to you in little pieces. Keeps you wondering. Next up, we have Silver Surfer Rebirth issue number 5. Now, this will be the final issue. This is another one of those retro titles or throwback titles. Miniseries by Ron Lynn and Ron Mars, the original creative team that were working on Silver Surfer in the 90s. This series takes place between the issues of that original run. So if you're a fan of the 90s comics, if you fell in love with these characters back in those days, these books are for you. Inside of the pages of this, we see Mephisto stealing one of the Infinity Gems, and they have our titular character, Silver Surfer, as well as Genis Vell, a.k.a. Captain Marvel's son, trying to get it. Along the way, they have a cosmic adventure fighting people like Thanos, Galactus, and so forth. In the final issue, they're coming face-to-face with the man behind all of it, none other than Mephisto himself. This has been another one that's just really, really fun, and it's for the fans of those older comics. It really is. Most definitely is. Next up, now this one right here is probably going to have to hit my top pick of the list. Like, top pick alert on this one. We have Neil before Zod, a brand new miniseries. I don't know if it's spinning out of the pages more or less than it's just like a Dawn of DC introduction to the character Zod. The whole concept behind this one, from my understanding, you're watching Zod on a warpath coming up in the universe, not on Earth, but this has a whole little marketing campaign behind it that it's talking about. It's going to be the most brutal comic of 2024. Now, when they say that, I'm sure they're not referring to other indie titles and horror titles that's their stick. It might just be in comparison to the other DC comics on the shelf, but it's supposed to be absolutely savage. They're even advertising on the front of it that the bloodbath starts here. So I'm definitely curious to see what's going on. Because it's a Superman title, I'm definitely picking it up and checking it out. Love me some Zod. He's a great character, super cool. But I'm really curious about this one to see how it places itself inside of the continuity of what's going on right now in DC Comics. Is this building towards something else inside of the super title? Is this a standalone miniseries outside of time and space with regular continuity? I'm definitely going to stick around to find. Next up, in keeping with the super titles, we have issue 3 of Robert Venditti's Superman 78. Volume 2 has been called The Metal Curtain. In this series, we have been introduced to the Superman 78 universe Metallo. For those that might not know, Superman 78 is the movie universe for the original Christopher Reeve Superman, the movie from 1978. And this story has solidified its place inside of that movie series, as there's no 2, 3, or 4. You have Superman the movie and then this comic series. We were introduced to Superman's parents in this one, and it looks like they're survivors of Krypton inside of the bottled city of Kandor. Lois has been taken to the Fortress of Solitude and introduced to them while Superman is out meeting and fighting this metal giant who's the Russian-built Metallo, the big metal suit fueled by kryptonite. Superman got his butt handed to him, but he did manage to save the pilot that Metallo was after, that pilot being codenamed Highball, which if you know, you know, but Highball is none other than Hal Jordan, aka Green Lantern, in regular the DC Comics. So I'm wondering if we're going to be introduced to more superheroes and not just kind of like Easter egg characters. That would be pretty interesting. I kind of would like them for now to stay with just Superman and let's fill out this universe some more. This second volume has been very entertaining. It's been very fast paced. That would really be my only criticism. It reads way too quick. It feels like there's not too much content in it. You kind of just get in, you start getting going, and then you've made it to the end of it. We're 3 issues in. I feel like we could still be on the first issue, but all in all, I'm absolutely loving this series. It has all the tones, vibes, and feels that you get when you watch that Superman, the movie film. You get the same kind of quips, the same mannerisms from the characters and everything. Robert Venditti's doing a phenomenal job of writing each of these characters in this. Clocking in at number 8, 9, and 10 is going to be a little different this week, as my pool is stopped with 7. So this week is definitely lighter than the past few, where I had to drop a lot off my top 10 list. This week I had to fill it out a little bit. So there's going to be 3 on here that I think are worth mentioning, taking some consideration. One that I'll actually be considering to check out will be Vengeance of the Moon Knight. So for those that don't know, Moon Knight wrapped up its last volume a couple of weeks ago with the death of Mark Spector, who was the Moon Knight. Issue number 1 here for the next series that starts. I mean, it's just, they have to renumber everything all the time in comic books, but there's supposed to be a new Fist of Khonshu, a new person in the suit. Mark Spector's dead. So who's going to be the next Moon Knight? Will it be an existing character taking up the mantle? Will it be a completely new character introduced to Marvel Comics, which I'm betting on that one. Looks like we're going to be seeing kind of a pattern of that at the beginning of 2024 with a brand new Ghost Rider who is not Johnny Blaze, a brand new Moon Knight, and so forth. It looks like we're getting a Marvel Now version 2.0 happening in comic books. So I'm sure some of these will be awesome. Some of these will be used for a little bit and moved on from, but needless to say, there's some really cool cover art, at least for these. I believe that's a David Finch cover, if I'm not mistaken, and Moon Knight has these brand new weapons. His moon symbol on his chest is turned upright. There's just all kinds of little things setting him aside differently, especially the Spawn face on him. But this one will be heavily talked about. I kind of assume that these might go fast out of some shops depending on how heavy they order, so be sure to check it out, see if it might be something that fits your interest. Next up is a cover by option. This one goes back to Batman 141. This is a Felipe Masafara cover. Absolutely beautiful. He gives me such Alex Ross vibes in this cover right here. I don't know why it reminds me of Pink Floyd a little bit, but definitely a beautiful cover. Some of the cover game stuff happening at DC Comics is exceptional. Now, these do cost an extra $1 as they put them on cardstock paper, and they're just beautifully done. So that one, definitely don't miss out on it. It's absolutely. And rounding out number 10 on this week's list is none other than Titans Beast World Tour Atlantis. This cover just caught me. Had to put it on the list. As I mentioned earlier, Black Manta going full Black Manta, and you kind of get a glimpse of it here on this cover with Black Manta turning into a giant manta. But more than that, this cover has those 1950s sci-fi film movie poster vibes that I think is just fantastic. So this is one that I might be picking up. If you don't know, every Tuesday I do a live stream at 2 p.m. Featuring the new DC Day stuff. We talk brand new comics come out. We preview them. We don't spoil them. We just kind of hang out for about an hour. Also run a weekly giveaway with some of the new DC books that drop that day, as well as throw some other stuff in there with them. So this cover is definitely a contender to be added to the giveaway that day. So be sure to swing by if you haven't ever checked out that live stream. It's definitely a blast. So that's going to be it for my top 10 list this week. Be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what you're looking forward to. There's definitely more than that coming out. That's just the ones that hit my radar. So also be sure to swing by every Sunday night at 8:30 for At Week's End. Tomorrow's show is going to be an exceptionally enjoyable one, as it's the final show for 2023. That means we're doing At Year's End, the annual show where we look back on the year, comics, movies, news, TV shows, everything, and we spoil every bit of it in the best way possible. We're bringing our top 3 lists to this one. We're not going to focus on the worst of them. I'm sure some stuff will get mentioned, but we're getting the best of the best for the 2023 year. That starts at 8:30, so everyone has time to come hang out, check it out, spend a little bit of time before your New Year's Eve festivities begin. And if you want to consider supporting the channel, I'd appreciate it. Be sure to check out the merch store down below. Pick you up some shirts, some hats, stuff like that, as well as checking out the channel membership. That's live. We got over 90 members strong in there. You get those loyalty badges by your name, the custom emojis, early access to video content, and more. I appreciate each and every one of you coming by and hanging out. It's been a fantastic year. I appreciate everyone watching these videos, supporting the channel. I can't tell you how much fun I have doing this. It really is a blast, and looking forward to what next year holds. I'll post a video Monday or Wednesday, kind of looking at what I'm looking forward to in 2023, some of the goals, or 2024, some of the goals, and see what we can't accomplish and keep track of and stuff. It was a massive year for 2023, and we'll be talking about some of those bigger pickups and stuff like that tomorrow night. We'll be looking ahead come next week, and we'll hit that goal list and get it out there. So be sure to check that out. I'd love to hear back from everybody else on that video. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.